Well, welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us again. Today we're going to make chicken parmesan, and I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. This is a video in which I learned a big lesson, and I almost didn't post it. But then I thought, no, it was good food. You made a mistake. Show it. Prevent someone else making a mistake. Here are the ingredients. You might want to pause and write these down. And hey, if you like our videos, please indicate by liking and share and subscribe. We really appreciate you being here. Well, here I have 4 beautiful chicken thighs. I've made Parmesan lots of times, but I've always made it with breast. And this time, the thighs were actually about $1 a pound cheaper than the breast. So I bought boneless chicken thighs. And when you are making Parmesan, you want to sort of flatten the meat out. You want it to cook fairly quickly, and you want to try to get the meat all at the same thickness, or as close to the same thickness as you can. So with the chicken thighs, you have a thick part and a thin part. And having never done this with thighs before, I thought about it and thought, well, I'll leave them whole, and I can flatten out the thicker side and sort of even these out. And this is the lesson that I learned that I told you about. I should have just cut these in half. But no, I went forward with full chicken thighs, and I'll show you the results of that as we go forward. Looking back, I would have cut these in half and only pounded the thicker side. But lesson learned, and I'm going to go ahead and pound all these out, and then I'm going to salt them, and I'm going to pepper them later, mostly because I don't want to handle the pepper shaker right now. I do think about cross-contamination. And onto the breading. I've got the flour, that's my buttermilk. I'm going to beat 2 eggs up into the buttermilk. You don't have to use buttermilk, you can use regular buttermilk. You can just use egg wash, but I really like the texture you get when you use buttermilk. And then over here I have panko crumbs. You can use other breadcrumbs. You can use matzo meal. These are pankos. They add a little additional crispness. And I'm adding about a half cup, kind of eyeballing it, of freshly grated cheese. This happens to be a mixture of Asiago and Romano. You can use Parmesan. You can use a mixture of Parmesan and something else. As long as it's freshly grated, that's all that really matters. And that adds a little flavor and crispness to the breading. So I'm doing what you've seen me do before, wet hand, dry hand, and that's about cross-contamination, and it leaves me hand-free in case I forgot something, which I usually do. And here are our thighs. And I've also have my cutting board lined with wax paper or aluminum foil or something so that I can put the breaded chicken pieces on it until I'm ready to cook them. So we start with the flour and the wet hand. Probably better to call this the chicken hand and the non-chicken hand instead of wet and dry. So you dredge the chicken pieces in the flour and then into your buttermilk egg wash and let it drip off, and then over into the breadcrumbs. And we want to cut them pretty well with the breadcrumbs. And the flour and the egg wash make the crumbs stick so much better. And then I'm going to move this over to my lined cutting board. And you see I shake it off a little bit. That sort of helps keep the frying better, keeps the breading on better. So we'll get all these done and I'll be right back to you. So they're all breaded, and you can see from this, these are large pieces of chicken. This really would be enough to feed 6 to 8 people instead of the 4 that I'm going to feed. So they're ready. I'll meet you over at the stove. I have about a 1/4 cup sunflower oil here getting hot. And back here I have my sauce Tomat in progress. This is the French sauce Tomat. I will hit it with an immersion blender when I'm ready. And later I'll make a video showing you how to make this. So we're going to check it to make sure it's hot enough by dropping a crumb in. And you know, if it immediately starts to sizzle and float, you're hot enough. If it turns brown and starts to smoke, you're too hot. And there are more scientific ways to check this, but this is how I do it. So I'm going to drop in the pieces. I'm going to cook them 2 at a time. This is a 10-inch skillet. Not to beat a dead horse, but see, these are way too big. And we'll do our regular frying routine. I'll show you that. As I say all the time, the trick to frying is to drop it in and leave it alone until it has started to brown really well on one side. Now we're not going to cook these through. We're just browning them. About 2 minutes on one side and then about 2 minutes on the other. They're going to finish cooking in the oven. So we just want to get a nice crunchy cover on these before we finish our process. And the second side is about done. I've got a little bit here that's not as brown as the other. So I'm going to give it a chance to brown evenly all around. So we'll give it about another minute. So this one's ready. It's nice and evenly brown all the way around. I'm going to put it to drain on a rack over a paper towel. I'll cook the rest of these. I think this one needs just another minute. And then I'll come back and show you the final assembly. Well, my oven is preheating to 350. I have here my finished sauce Tomat. I have provolone cheese here, and then I have the grated cheese. A lot of folks use mozzarella. I just don't particularly like mozzarella, so I'm using provolone. I'm tasting my sauce to see if it needs any more salt. It was salted in the process, but I always check first. So we're going to line our cast iron pan, or you can use any baking dish that you like. I just often bake casseroles and that sort of thing in cast iron. I'm going to line it with the sauce Tomat, and you can surely use Marinara if you prefer. So then chicken, a little bit of sauce, cheese slice, grated cheese, another piece of chicken, sauce, and you just continue. Until you have all of your pieces of chicken assembled. And here we have it. And I'm gonna put the rest of this cheese on top, because you know you can never have too much cheese. I'll put this in the oven for 30 minutes and check it. These big pieces I'll check for doneness, and I'll be back. And this is our finished chicken Parmesan after 30 minutes in the oven. I did do a double check in the thickest part for doneness, and it is done in 30 minutes, and it smells wonderful. So let's give this a taste. And you know, it really is great smelling in my kitchen. I love chicken Parmesan. And I still love chicken Parmesan. It is a little bit crunchy, not a whole lot, very cheesy. And you know, this sauce Tomat has a different, well, almost mouth feel because it's made with broth added to it. And the chicken is nice and done and still juicy. And I'm going to encourage you to make this. I'm just going to encourage you to use breast or to cut thighs in half. This is just, portion control is out of control here. I really enjoy this, and I really appreciate your joining us. Thank you for being with us on Debbie's Back Porch.